Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com, your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Reach out to me directly for pricing at tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Before I bury the lead, let's have at it. Launched in 2021 in a 5-piece limited edition, as you see it here. This is the Grade 5 titanium Royal Oak minute repeater Supersonnerie. Using the Supersonnerie technology first proposed in 2016, this watch has both musical quality and volume second to none. So the watch is 42 millimeters in diameter, 14 millimeters thick. From lug tip to lug tip, if we include just the case, it's 54 millimeters across the wrist. If we include these little outboard intermediate plot links, then it's 56.7 millimeters across the wrist. The timepiece in Grade 5 tie is lighter than steel, but also harder and more scratch-resistant than steel. I throw it on my wrist, and I emphasize this is not an offshore. This is a Royal Oak. It is a large and complicated Royal Oak, but it is a Royal Oak. So it is elegant, beautifully proportioned, albeit very large on the wrist. I recommend your wrist at least be the size of mine. I'll give you a better sense of scale. Your wrist should be at least the size of mine for wearing this watch well. I think 16 centimeters circumference or larger. It's very light on the wrist, it's hypoallergenic, and it should fit underneath a jacket cuff, if not the tightest of dress sleeves. Rolling back to some of the details of the case, you can see, like every Royal Oak, since the first in 1972, the finishing, the faceting, the contrast between satin and polish is immaculate and laid down by hand. These bracelets take between 9 and 11 hours to hand finish, and of course the titanium examples like this are the ones on the upper end of that scale, closer to 11. The bracelet tapers nicely, the tolerances are outstanding in the step-down taper, and you can see the contrast between the polish and the satin, not just on the shoulders, but also the ends of the intermediate links. Because it is a titanium bracelet, you might expect pin sleeves, but instead, AP gives you removable links fixed by screws. You have a double folding clasp with twin trigger release. Internally, it is satin finished and media blasted. One side closes before the other. It is a sequential close and very, very, very secure. So sequential close just means that one side closes before the other. The logos close second. Rolling around to the case, you can see, like Gerald Genta intended, the bezel is inspired by a vintage diving helmet. Gerald Genta, of course, designed the original 1972 Royal Oak. It is a combination of a rounded polygon on the outside and then a round inner crystalline dial. We have facets that are satinated and polished. We have a hairline gasket expressed between the case and the bezel. You can see that the bolts inside the bezel, and they are bolts, not screws, they're white gold, which creates a nice tonal contrast. We have a crown, which is a screw-down crown. You cannot extract it when the chimes are actually in action, so that's a safety feature. You can't pull the crown and set the watch while it is chiming. And though you might expect, given the resonator on the reverse side, this cavity that's designed to amplify the sound and release it, it still has 50-meter water resistance. Now, the dial is a gradient or a fade from bright blue at the center to black navy at the edge, so navy blue, almost black. We have white gold hands, AP logo, and indices, and the watch is loomed. The watch is well loomed. As you can see, this is an easy watch to read at night. The dial is the Grande Tapisserie, which is a hobnail, a large hobnail, cut on a traditional pantograph lathe. So this is done artisanally using a machine from the 19th century, and this is a time-consuming process. On top of that, AP then uses the gradient galvanizing process, which is a high rejection rate, before we even get to the fact that they chose the color blue, not just any gradient color, and that is even tougher to achieve. Now, the reverse side doesn't give you a whole lot of clue as to what's inside it. It lets you know there's the Supersonnerie, and then there is a 5-piece limited edition, of which this is one. But you get Audemars Piguet, and truthfully, it is Audemars Piguet Renault Papy, high horology caliber 2953. Manual winding, protected down to 50 meters, water resistant. It has a 3-day power reserve. It pivots on 32 joules. It beats away at 21,600 vibrations per hour. And it's important to note that it has a special feature built in. So if you have a time, and we may as well just demonstrate this, that doesn't include quarters, because minute repeaters chime the hours, the quarters after the hour, and then the minutes after the quarters. But let's say you have a time that does not include any quarters. The watch doesn't hesitate. There's no empty pause between the hours and the minutes, and I'm going to reveal this now. And there you have it. Simple at face value, but a hugely sophisticated mechanism. A lot of engineering is required to create that gap, and the gap is absolutely seamless. Hours to minutes with no pause in between. So there are a lot of smart functions and features built into this incredibly loud and sonorous minute repeater. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.